Well, we have an interesting topic this morning, and lots of laughter in store. I will begin by saying that I chose the title, We Are Family, and had a wonderful conversation with my family, some of whom are here this morning, saying, well, gosh, it'll be a great time to get away. It'll be a wonderful time to get some inspiration. I'm sure you will. And then you can come back and share all about it. That seemed like a really great plan. So that was set in motion. It was published in Natural Awakenings. It was put on the website. It became the plan. Well, actually, two things happened. One is that Rick and I did go away with our family, and like I said, a couple of whom are here this morning. And we did go to a family reunion in upstate New York. And that whole thing involved planning and preparation and getting there and so much more. And then the unfoldment of our time together and our reflection about it and our returning home. What also happened simultaneously right here is that our spiritual family had this wonderful opportunity to come together. And most of you are here this morning, a couple aren't. I will say that Reverend Jackie Lecky, who's one who's not here this morning, did a marvelous job as our guest speaker. Also, Felicia Rhodes was here as our guest musician. And we have Frida, who did a wonderful reading and prayer and helped set up a great deal. Nishama, beautiful meditation. Matt, who pushed all the buttons so that the PowerPoint would still work, and then stood up for applause like the Wizard of Oz behind him. Something like that. Judy Rolland helped as well, and so many of you were here making it community. So we too made a plan. We set an intention, and we did lots of preparation, and we went over every detail about how it was going to unfold. And we came back and heard that it went beautifully. The funny thing, because what else can you do but laugh, is that the parts that we didn't intend really clearly about our time together as a family in upstate New York went the way, nature abhors a vacuum. And that the dominant belief, known or not, conscious or unconscious, is what manifests as your experience. So that's part of what happened. We had a lot of fun. A lot of blueberries, a lot of mosquito bites, a lot of shooting stars, a lot of s'mores, a lot of good food and conversation and activity, and I don't think there were more than 2 people that chose to do the same thing at any given time. So, having said that, I chose a couple quotes for the newsletter, and some of you read it and some of you didn't, so here we go. A house is not a home unless it contains food and fire for the mind as well as the body. Benjamin Franklin. I.e., a life worth living contains both of these. The reunion did, and the CSLPB family union did as well. B. If you cannot get rid of the family skeleton, you may as well make it dance. George Bernard Shaw. Which means that if we can accept the hiccups, we can still see and remember the good times. I heard that back here, one of the things is that this mouse has a little thing that plugs into the computer that allows it to work. And when it's traveling, the little thing is clipped to the bottom of the mouse and is practically invisible. How do I know this? Because once when I was looking for it, I couldn't find it either. So I finally figured out a few days after the fact that Jackie was telling me we couldn't find the thingy, so we couldn't use the mousey, so we had to use this other thing. Well, we had to use Matt crouching on the floor. Okay, so that's a hiccup. And the predominant recollection that I heard from everyone was this amazement about how each and every person in part came together so beautifully. Because people didn't really say, what are you going to say? I'm going to say this. What do you think? Should I say this? Should I say that? It was each person had their own part to bring, and they did it. They created it. They came. They trusted. They flowed together, and it was beautiful. So thank you. I heard that. So we had a lot of elements like that at our family reunion as well. And we had some things that didn't come together at all, which of course did inspire me in unexpected ways. The funny thing is that Rick was sitting in a corner reading a dusty old original copy of Emerson's essays. Because we were in a house that was several hundred years old. I don't know, many. There were just as many bugs as there were people, actually more. So he was reading an antique copy of Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I was trying to read a detective novel, because that was my idea of getting away from it all. And there was a detective, of course, and there a female, by the way, and also a reporter who was female. And the two realized that if the detective with her little 3x5 cards and the reporter with her notepad got together, they were able to piece together what happened, and make sense of it all just in time. So there was a little bit of that going on for me because I was born this way, the baby of the family, witnessing everybody doing stuff, thinking, oh, I don't have words for this yet, but I can see what people have in common and where they're differing and how they could, if they could figure out what they have in common, they wouldn't need to differ. But I don't know how to tell them yet. So I kept opting, I'd rather read my detective novel, but this thing is happening, so I did that too. Bottom line is that I came back to something which was number one, just the title of this talk, We Are Family. And the other was to revisit a little bit about the hero's journey, which I spoke about maybe a month or so ago. So we are family. First of all, to really understand what that means and not just take it literally and say, I know what that means, it says we are family. First of all, we need to know who we are in order to understand what that really means. Then we'll know what family means to us because we know who we are. The other part is that family of any kind is a group of people, places, or things which have something in common. There are families of plants. There are families of gems. There are families of birds. There are families of people. There are chosen families and families of biology and marriage and origin. There are families of ancestry, and there are families we have yet to meet yet. There are families at work, and there are families at home. So there are all kinds. The one thing, though, that every family has in common is exactly that. They have something in common. So hold on to that idea, because we're going to go on a little ride, and we'll leave it in a minute. So to understand what it means, we are family. We need to know who we are, and we need to discover what we have in common. So we go off on this thing that we shared about a month ago called the hero's journey to find out who we are. What that means then is that we leave home. We say, Mom, Dad, sisters, brothers, I'm out of here. I gotta go. I'm about 16 and I think I know it all, but I'm gonna go see, right? So whatever the age is and whatever the reason we give for it, whether it's quest or abandonment or who knows what, we go off to find more. Something in us says there's more. We've gotten the call and off we go. And when we do that, a couple things happen. We discover more about ourselves all along the way. And we find gifts and treasures. We find these things we've been seeking, these answers that were kind of gnawing at us. And we discover them. And we integrate them, we incorporate them, and we grow, we evolve, we become more. And then the phone rings, or if it's a couple hundred years ago, maybe a carrier pigeon arrives on your windowsill, or get an email or a text message, or someone you're related to just taps you on the shoulder and says, guess what? And you get an invitation to go back home. Why? Perhaps someone's getting married. Perhaps someone's just been born. Perhaps someone has passed away. Perhaps someone is ill. Or perhaps there's just that resolve at one of those events, which had happened many times in our family. We should get together when someone's not dying. We should just get together to know each other better. There were people at our wedding in late March who said, this is so wonderful. We really didn't have an opportunity to talk and visit as much as I would have liked. It's been so long. Let's get together some more. So that's what gave rise to what we did. What happens, though, is that Think about it. Each one of us has been on our own hero's journey. Each one of us is the hero of our own story. And we get the call, the invitation. We say, sure, why not? And we go back home, in essence. You know, sometimes the best thing to do is choose a neutral territory that doesn't belong to anyone, has nobody's history, because perhaps less of that will come to the fore. In any case, we went and gathered where there was a lot of history from one part of the family. And the rest of us brought ours with us, you know. So, in essence, when any one of us goes home, what we're doing is that hero's return. And the hero's return is said to be one of the most challenging parts of the journey. Because when the hero goes back home, he or she needs to keep intact everything that they found, everything that they became, everything that they discovered, and somehow reconcile that with and integrate it with where they came from and who they came from. So if you go back to your tribe, your posse, your village, your gang, your group of friends, your college roommates, your family of origin, or whatever it is, you're always getting the opportunity to do a couple of things. Either that, which by the way is mastery, to be able to bring all that you have become and all that you have found back to where you came from. That is the ultimate. What many of us do instead is say, well, for those 2 or 3 or 4 days or 24 hours or just during dinner, I'll just pretend to be who I used to be. That would be so much tidier. You know, it would be so much easier. Why not? Okay. So the other thing that happens quite often is, oh, I can't. I'm on call. I have to work that day. I don't think I can get away. Oh, it's so far. I can't afford it. Whatever. Right? So there are 3 choices, really. To go and see if you can bring all that you are, all that you have found, all that you've become back to your family of origin, to your cousins and to your nephews and nieces and your parents and your grandparents and your sisters and your brothers and you haven't seen in years because you went off to find out who you are, to be the center of your universe, to be the hero of your story. And that's perfect and natural and as it should be. Coming back. Oh, coming back. So those of us who chose to be there, still, we all had our own perspective. Who we are, who we become, what we've decided is most important, what really matters, and we came together. And the things that we knew we had in common went really well. Think about it. We're all going to breathe. We're all going to sleep in the evening. Inside. We're all going to eat when we get up in the morning. We're all going to share a meal around midday. We're all going to share another meal in the evening. We're all going to be part of planning and preparing and cleaning up after those things. Going pretty well. And those of us who want to swim will swim, and those who want to ride will ride, and those who want to sit will sit, and so on. Really wonderful. The other parts, though, that are unspoken, that are not really talked about or planned for, are the ones where we each come back as who we believe we are. And we try to get together and have a conversation or make decisions about something. And this is where I got fascinated. Because what we lacked were the skills to be able to be seen and be heard, to see and to hear one another, to recognize that underneath all of our different desires, all the different ways we like to get our needs met, we had something in common. And I began to have a language for that same thing that I felt when I was a kid. I began to say, oh, well, that's it. But I didn't have the skills or the courage or the wherewithal to say, all right, we're having a meeting. You know, it was just, wow, I can see that. The thing is, that when we go out into the world and we say, this is what matters most to me, this is what I think really counts on this planet. And then we decide to get back together with our family. Somehow, we need to do that not like a missile, not like a bull in a china shop, not like an invasion of some kind. Somehow, I believe, because I value harmony, that we need to find a way to do that while still being true to ourselves, while still carrying the gifts that we found and daring to let them show and daring to at least try to share them. We need to do it without making everybody else wrong. See, the adolescent way is to make everybody else wrong. Now, you know, when we were teenagers and we were learning how to stand up and speak up a little, especially the boys becoming men, their voices would do that funny thing, you know, like squeak, crack, you know, whatever. And I guess, girl, you know, for me personally, it just burst into tears when I really just wanted to say something. But there's a learning curve. Learning how to come back home, learning how to be who we are, learning how to share what has meaning and value to us as adults. Because you know, when you're a kid and you're really cute and you're just excited, you just run in and interrupt and say, guess what? And you tell your story. And because you're special and cute and little, everybody says, oh, you know, I really want to listen to this. I want to hear it. I want to see you. I want to know you. I value you. And then when you get older, it's like, okay, you're not little and cute anymore, so you don't get that. The truth is, no matter how old we are, or what size we are, or anything else, what we're excited about matters. What matters to us matters. And so, I just marveled. Because what I did, because I didn't know what else to do, was spend time with people individually and just be present and just care. And keep eating blueberries and keep reading my detective novel and keep listening to Emerson. I wanted to read the detective novel, but my husband wanted to read me Emerson, and I love him, and I knew that was special to him, so that's what I did, and I got a great gift because of it. I got a great gift from everything that I chose to be involved in. So going back to this how-to thing, let's just say that rather than trying to pretend you're not who you are for the duration of the visit, because then you repress something that ultimately has to come out somewhere, and it will be played out and reflected back, and it'll take more energy to clean up. And rather than just not going at all and ending up isolated and maybe saying, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to live with my favorite paperback books and my favorite fictional friends and my kitty or my puppy dog and my plants, and I just won't go out. That's my solution, is to embark on the hero's return. How can I re-enter the atmosphere of my family of origin without burning up? How can I do it without causing harm? There's plenty of information, plenty of support about how that can be done. And at the core of it all is this one simple thing. Family means a group of people, places, or things which have something in common. If you have to go back to the beginning and say, we all have bodies, we all breathe air, we all sleep at night. Now, if somebody works nights, okay, then skip that one. You know, we all eat food. If you don't eat the same food, that's okay. You still have the need for nourishment in common. You see, behind everything that we do that is different is something we have in common. If we look for that, we can stand on that common ground. And from there, if we look for more, we will find it. That's because Spirit's highest law is harmony. All of creation is created to be in harmony. It is not something we have to go find or look for or hunt down or hoard or discover. It just is. We just have to uncover it. It's already here. And if we do that, we'll discover the other part about all of life, which is unity. We're all one. So if we just remember to look for what we have in common, and if you have to start with breathing, then do it. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'll tell you what, we both like to breathe, we both like to eat, so let's get together and breathe and eat. It'll be great. That is a beginning. That is a harmonious agreement. And in those areas where we differ, in those areas where what is important to us and how we vote and what we think really matters is so different, we just can hardly stand it. Just let that part go. Just work around it. I used to say, and sometimes I still do, that harmony is achieved by adjusting proximity. That's giving one another enough room to be who we are. It's not quite the same as saying, I'm out of here forever, or I'm never going to talk to you again. It's, you know what? I can love you the most when I give us both enough room to be who we are. Because I can see that in this area, we have different values, and that's okay. So all we need to remember is that somewhere in all of it, there's always something we have in common. And we can call that family. We can call that common ground. And we can always find something that will harmonize and unify us because we're built that way. And we can do what feels best with the rest of it and let it go. If we were all the same, this wouldn't be a very beautiful world. It would not be interesting. But we're not. So, what that means, in a nutshell, is that we are all family. And I'm really glad that I got to the place where I could know that. Because I don't have to go fix anybody or change anyone or call a meeting or trying to get anything to happen. I just recognize that we are family. And that is very good. And so it is.